one thing that I gather, and I respect you all in this room so much for having the time and the energy and the dedication to sort through all of these difficult questions and take the important steps to planning as a group to address all of the shortfalls that confront us into the future. And of course, when you have a spaghetti junction of different groups like this, you've got to have an engaged authority at the top, if a spaghetti junction can in fact have a top. Let's just park that for a second. And that, of course, means government. And I'm now going to introduce you to a representative of the federal government. Minister O'Connor isn't here because presumably he's under a pile of stakeholder submissions crying for help. But it's fine because we have Alicia Payne here, who's the federal member for Canberra, proudly representing this community since her election in May 2019, ahead of the curve. Alicia serves on the Joint Standing Committee on the NDIS and the Public Accountant Audit Committees. She also serves as Secretary of the Australian Labor Party First Nations Caucus Committee, and she also is a former staffer, which many people are, but she was a smart former staffer, a research fellow, policy analyst, and senior advisor to great big thinkers like Lindsay Tanner and Jenny Macklin, one of the unsung powerhouses of policy making in this country. She's a Canberra local, and I'd like to welcome her to stage now. Please, would you welcome Alicia Payne MP.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin today by paying my respects to the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people. And thank you, Paul, for that very generous welcome this morning. And I want to extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today, and to acknowledge what a privilege it has been to grow up here on the beautiful lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, to live and work here and to raise my family here. And just to talk as well about the referendum result, and also acknowledge that that has been a really difficult time for many in our community, particularly First Nations people, and people who've been devastated by that result, and me included. But here in Canberra, we voted yes, and very proud of our community in that regard. But I just want to say that our government, under the leadership of Anthony Albanese and Minister Linda Burney, remains 100% committed to respecting the agency of First Nations people. And we want to listen to them as we go about the next steps towards reconciliation and closing the gaps. And our commitment to that remains 100% as strong as it always has been, and we look forward to that conversation and that listening continuing. It's my great pleasure this morning to represent Minister Brendan O'Connor, the Minister for Skills and Training, and he has asked me to pass on his thanks and appreciation for your work and to impress upon you the centrality of Jobs and Skills Councils to ensuring people have the skills they need for good, secure jobs. And I'd like to thank Rob Bonner, the Chair of HumanAbility, and Emma King, the CEO, for your terrific work in hosting this amazing event, particularly so early in your existence. And it's incredible to see so many people here. This is on top of the successful regional forum you convened earlier this month in Alice Springs. And I want to congratulate the whole HumanAbility team for hitting the ground running and bringing people together in common purpose. Of all the Jobs and Skills Councils, HumanAbility has a wide cradle-to-grave remit to support the workers who support people to give a good life. And I just want to, again, acknowledge, I'm really so pleased to be able to be here today as part of this. Is such a critical conversation, and the work that you do is so appreciated by myself and the Minister and everyone in our government. The work that you are doing is central to our community, to our economy, and to the individual lives that you and the people you represent touch every day for the better. So thank you for everything that you do, and I really hope that this discussion really goes well today. You do this by driving skills and workforce development in health and human services, aged and disability support, sport and recreation, and children's education and care. Sectors under HumanAbility's remit are critical to supporting national productivity, workforce participation and social inclusion. In fact, the jobs and careers which you have responsibility for are in some of Australia's fastest growing sectors, and I hardly need remind this audience that across HumanAbility's remit there are some common and urgent workforce challenges. Thanks to the work now underway at HumanAbility and the work of your partners at Jobs and Skills Australia, we are forming a much more accurate picture of workforce demands we're facing. Jobs and Skills Australia has identified the growth of the health and care sector as one of 3 megatrends shaping the labour market, driven by an ageing population, a transition from informal to formal care, and increased expectations of government. The Employment White Paper, released in September, recognises that growing need for care and support services in dramatically increasing opportunities for skilled workers in these critical and rewarding sectors. Workforce challenges go well beyond mere questions of skill level to include pay and conditions, increasing gender balance across the workforce, improving career pathways and opportunities, and professional development. I think many of you would agree that work in the care and human services sector is also generally undervalued in society. This is due to incorrect but enduring perceptions that the work is low-skilled. There is a clear need for greater recognition and respect for the valuable and highly skilled work that employees in your sectors provide in our communities, as well as acknowledgement that this work requires specialised skills and knowledge. Residential aged care illustrates the enormous toll these issues can have. Worker shortages are particularly acute everywhere. Nationally, in the year to August 2023, the residential aged care sector lost more than 10% of its workforce, according to ABS data. That's almost 25,000 people. HumanAbility is uniquely placed to respond to these challenges by ensuring our national training system is giving workers the skills and knowledge required, ensuring training, delivery and assessment meets the needs of employers and learners, mapping and promoting career pathways, and monitoring the impact of training to drive continuous improvement. HumanAbility will be providing continuing critical advice on skills and workforce needs to governments and industry stakeholders, including on the effectiveness of VET policies and standards. As with the other 9 Jobs and Skills Councils, the formula of bringing together employees, unions and governments in a tripartite arrangement to find solutions represents a fundamental shift in how we are addressing current and future skills and workforce challenges. A concerted effort on tackling workforce issues is underway across government. This includes work being undertaken across government to develop a national strategy for the care and support economy. Some of you may have contributed to this work through stakeholder consultation processes earlier this year. This strategy will set out the government's vision for a sustainable and productive care and support economy that delivers quality care and support with quality jobs over the long term. Focused work is also being progressed to address workforce issues in areas such as mental health, nursing, aged care, and importantly, to respond to the findings of the Disability Royal Commission. Skills and training initiatives play a central and critical role. This includes through facilitating uptake of training in care and support sector-related qualifications, through funding provided under the National Skills Agreement and fee-free TAFE. The new 5-year National Skills Agreement between the Commonwealth and state and territory governments takes effect in a little over a month in January 2024. The deal represents an investment of $12.6 billion by the Commonwealth over 5 years to expand and transform access to the vet sector, support training providers to deliver quality education and training, and implement reforms to address critical skills needs. The agreement reflects a shared national commitment of all governments to work together to ensure that no Australian is held back and no one is left behind. I want to reaffirm that sustaining essential care sector services remains one of the top national priorities in this agreement. We're investing more than $31 million to fast-track up to 6 TAFE centres of excellence in 3 sectors, one of which is the care sector. The idea of TAFE Centres of Excellence is to strengthen capability and capacity of the vet system to provide high quality and responsive skills training for critical and emerging industries, including sustaining essential care and support services. As we approach the end of the first year of the program, it is important to acknowledge just how successful fee-free TAFE has been. More than 214,000 places have been filled around Australia under the first tranche of fee-free TAFE. On the back of that, we're committing a further $414 million to deliver an additional 300,000 places nationally beginning next year. The government is also offering Australian apprenticeship pathways and other supports, including employer incentives and trade support loans. The general trend in filling jobs across care industries is positive. More people are now working in our hospitals than a year ago. Among aged and disabled carers, child carers and welfare support workers, there are almost 30,000 more people working now than a year ago. That's an almost 6% jump. In sport and recreation, there are 4,700 more workers. I cannot stress enough how fresh data is absolutely critical to lighting the pathway out of the skills crisis. The example I'm about to share also underscores our absolute confidence that the National Skills Agreement and its billions in investment is a policy priority whose time has certainly come. The skills priority list of occupations in shortage was updated in October. It shows there are not enough workers to fill jobs in over 300 occupations of the more than 900 assessed. For human services related occupations, the largest employing occupations in shortage include aged and disabled carers and child carers. Jobs and Skills Australia is partnering with HumanAbility and stakeholders in the early childhood and education sector to carry out a capacity study for the early childhood education and care workforce. Just as Jobs and Skills Australia did recently for the clean energy sector, a capacity study doesn't just look at the workforce and skill requirements, it looks also at how we can overcome any barriers to meeting workforce needs now and in the future. The outcomes from the study will help inform HumanAbility and government activities for the early childhood education and workforce sector in 2024 and beyond. Thank you again so much for the opportunity to speak today. On behalf of the government, I want to acknowledge HumanAbility for the speed with which you've gotten down to work with your tripartite partners. Your success will be part of the legacy story of how Australians came together in a spirit of collaboration to address a national skills crisis and build opportunity for Australians of all ages to equip themselves to work and prosper in a transformed 21st century economy. Thank you.